About 2.3 million people in the United States are in prisons or jails. That makes up around 7% of the United States population. The United States confines more people per capita than any other country. Roughly 1 in every 170 people are in prison. 47% of people who leave prison end up returning within the first year. 87% of people who leave prison end up returning to prison with only a decade. 20% of people in jail aren't convicted. It costs over $180 billion to maintain everything related to the prison system, such as staff, inmates, probation, parole, food, etc. Back in the 1990s, Norway used a similar system to just about every other country. Because of this, they had a recidivism rate of over 70% within the first 2 years of release. There were always riots and violence in most of the prisons, so the government decided to do a massive reformation of prisons. Now the recidivism rate is 25% within 3 years of release. Norway's total population is 5.408 million as of 2021. They only have a total of 3,096 prisoners. Roughly 1 in every 1,754 people are imprisoned in Norway. This is over 1,000% fewer inmates than in the United States. If you were to translate the statistics into the size of the United States population, there would be 189,281 prisoners in the United States. Nebraska alone has a total prison population of 5,306, and only a population of 2 million, which is less than half the size of Norway, and nearly double their prison population. The reason why Norway has a much better recidivism rate, as well as a much lower number of prisoners, is because of their prison system. The way their prisons are designed is more based on rehabilitation rather than retribution and justice. One of the most famous prisons is the maximum security prison, Halden Prison. Halden Prison has a capacity of 248 to 252 prisoners. The design is similar to a campus, with living quarters and many other facilities spread throughout separate buildings. Halden Prison is 75 acres big and cost a little over $250 million to make. There's a building based around education and another for visitation. The landscaping is done by prisoners as well as some art pieces that are hung up on the walls. There are 3 different living units. Unit A is focused on prisoners with more severe mental illness with a little less freedom, but Units B and C have much more freedom. Unit C8 is a special cell block, and it's focused on helping deal with addictions. Each prison cell is around 110 square feet big. They all have a flat screen TV, a private toilet with a shower, mini fridge, unbarred windows, a wardrobe, and a few other things. The inmates can add almost anything to their rooms. Every 10 to 12 cells is a cell block. Each cell block has a kitchen, lunchroom, and a large TV area with couches not too far from the kitchen. They also don't have access to internet themselves. The inmates are given keys to their own cells and are only allowed to be outside for 12 hours each day. They're encouraged to maximize their time outside. They're allowed out from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. The inmates are able to cook for each other and watch TV together in the cell blocks as well. Prisoners are trusted with kitchen knives for cooking. The only cases of violence in Halden have exclusively occurred in Unit A, which deals with mental illness. The prisoners are also given many opportunities to learn new skills or refine old skills so they can be more prepared for when they leave Halden. Now there are a few things I believe should be changed with how prisons in the most United States are run now. Some are trying to become more like how Norway runs its prisons, while others are still the same. People might not agree with giving prisoners nearly as much freedom and luxuries as they do in Halden, especially for serious offenders. In Norway, you can only get up to a 21-year sentence. There are no life sentences. Here is a bit different. Many people would disagree with something such as that, so I don't think sentences should be completely changed. What I do think is that giving prisons a more humane and inviting atmosphere would help a lot. Punishments for bad behavior shouldn't be too cruel, like solitary confinement, if it's not putting others in danger. What I do think is that prisons should be more focused on rehabilitation instead of incarceration. There are many people who simply weren't able to get a good enough education to be able to do many things, such as get a job, or people who got addicted to drugs and don't get the help they need before it's too late. Around 350,000 people are in prison for drug use. Some may be doing drugs due to a very traumatic past. One inmate in Kentucky is a Vietnam War veteran, and he was in prison due to drugs. As of now, not too many of these people get the help they need, and because of it, they end up committing crimes again. If prisons were more focused on prevention instead of throwing people into cells, then it could decrease crime greatly. There's no way that we can immediately reform prisons to be exactly like Norway, as the people of the United States might not agree with a system like that. It also costs a lot more money to be fairer to inmates. If some changes were made, the number of crimes and criminals could go down drastically. Luckily, newer prisons are designed to be more humane and effective. North Dakota has reformed their prisons to be more like Norway, and the Californian governor plans on repurposing an old prison building into a rehabilitative facility designed to be similar to the prisons of Norway. Right now, there are likely better things to focus on first before prisons, but prison reform could reduce the cost of prison overall.